Hello, everyone. Happy Monday. Today is Monday, September the 21st. Oh, wow. 2020. And my name is Angela Hooper-Menifield, and this is your HR moment with Menifield and Associates. So, um, as you guys know, if you've ever watched any of these videos, that HR moments are designated and targeted for two types of individuals. The first is supervisors. We really strive to help supervisors, especially those new in the space, and there's degrees of newness, but to deal with things that are somewhat common, but may be uncommon to them in the workplace. And then that second space is to also be a place where HR professionals can come together and talk through some things. And so today's HR moment is one that I can tell you in my years of doing training and years of training new supervisors and even more veteran supervisor, this is an issue that I doubt I've ever had one single year in the 25 plus years of supervision. I don't think I've ever gone a year and it not come up. And this is how to have what we would consider beyond just difficult conversations, right? Because difficult conversations could be something about how do you talk to somebody about attendance? When I say the real difficult conversations, I'm talking about having conversations about things like hygiene, body odor, breath, um, things that are highly sensitive but necessary. And so, as supervisors and professionals in HR, we have to figure out how do we talk about these things, because they can be what we would term in the official HR setting a disruption to the workplace. Now, you may be thinking, okay, Angela, really, like a disruption? Yes, because I have been in work environments where odors and smells were so strong that literally I couldn't breathe. And what tends to happen when other people experience this, they will do things like spray. So instead of confronting the issue, then there's all this spraying of Lysol and things like that. And really, all of this is really doing is making things worse. So, yes, this can literally be a disruption in the workplace. People don't want to come to work, they don't want to come to their work area. They're making complaints. And so the list goes on and on. Now, the first thing I would say to do, needless to say, is to speak to the individual of whom, we believe this is the reason for this. And perhaps confirm, so do your own test. What's that, Charlotte? Oh my gosh, you said you've been there, very disruptive. Exactly. And so sometimes I think, we think if we brush it off, it'll go away, but it doesn't. And so one, you got to verify. Now, am I suggesting you walk up to people and sniff them? Of course not. But you have to verify. And, and of course, there's some basic ways just to figure out, is this where this is coming from? But one of the things we don't want to do is go to the person and say, hey, I've been getting complaints about you. Well, why would why would you think that's not a good idea? Well, one reason is because it immediately presents to the person that they are being discussed, and they are being discussed in a way that is negative. And so we don't want to say those things to them. We don't want to say, I've been getting complaints. But what we do want to do is, share my, do my watch party. I always forget how to do this. Okay. But what we do want to do is just let them know this is real. This is a real issue, and this is something that has to be addressed. Again, there's no need to bring up other people, say who else may have said it. And I think sometimes as supervisors and managers, even though that's not our intent, we think by getting co-signers or repeating that other people have experienced this, that it'll make it more palatable or easy for the person to hear. It's the exact opposite. No one wants to hear this because regardless of the reason, intentional, knowing or not, um, this is a hard conversation and it's embarrassing. Now, I just said knowing or not, and some of you are thinking, how could you not know that you smell bad or not know that these, scents and odors are being emitted from you? It's possible. It is truly possible. Sometimes we become immune to certain things because we've been around it for so long. Sometimes our body chemistry is off. And I say this in jest, but it's actually a true story. So years ago, and this was a long time ago, probably like over 30 years ago, I was out with some friends and we were about to go out, like, to have a good time, go to, a club-esque setting. And so we were getting dressed, everybody was getting dressed, and somebody had bought some new perfume. And so, we smelled it. It smelled okay. And so different ones of us put it on. As the night progressed and we were at this place, we kept smelling something. And the scent it smelled like urine. I mean, that there is no nicer way to say it. And we couldn't figure out where it was coming from in the club because there were people all around. And then when we got back in the car and we got back to our rooms, it was clear. It was from one of my friends, my good friends. And it was the way that scent worked with her body chemistry. So she'd taken a shower and a bath just like the rest of us, right? We all got dressed. We put on the same scent because it was new. We wanted to try it out. But the way it reacted to her was totally different than the way it reacted to others. Now, I tell you that quick story not to make light of, again, disruptive odors and things like that, but it's more so to point out that there are occasions where people don't know. There are also medical reasons why, smells and different things may emit from people. So as a supervisor, our first point of contact is always, how can I serve you? How can I help you? Again, we always want to leave people whole, no, not, torn down, not disparaged. So when we ask or have this conversation, it could start off with just something as basic as, how's everything going? I have an awareness, this hasn't been my personal situation, but of a friend of mine was working in the school system and had to have this discussion with the student. And after they began to have the discussion, they found out that this person was now living in a homeless-esque situation, sometimes having a place to lay their head, but not always, which means they didn't have access to water, soap, and just things. And so we never know what people are going through. And we never want to be so insensitive and so unkind that the focus of the discussion is whatever the smell is. But instead, what's happening with them? We want to show compassion. We want to show that we care, and we want to show that we're there to support them. Many organizations have EAP programs, which is employee assistance programs. Oftentimes, smaller businesses don't, but you may have access to nonprofits and other organizations that can help people, but you can't help someone if you don't take the time to find out what's happening with them. But so in saying all that, it still doesn't mean we don't have the conversation, because there are also other people that are impacted by this. And so we have to say something. And so what has worked for me, and I'm not suggesting this is the only way, this is a way, not the way, but what has worked for me and the guidance that I have given others, that I have helped again in trainings and other platforms, is again to have the conversation and just find out what's going on. If they don't give you anything in that, as a precursor as to the why, then, you just have to say, well, part of the reason why, I asked you to join me in this meeting today is because, whether it's been the last couple of days, it's today only, whatever, you can say there has been, an odor or smell that's, coming from which is coming from you or coming from your clothing or something on your person that is strong, and it is. I am having, I personalize it. I don't put it on other people, and I would just say I'm having some, difficulty with it, and wanted to bring it to your awareness so that maybe we could address it or figure out, maybe where it's coming from. I have, like I said, had employees after I've had this conversation or team members come back and, one, first they're embarrassed, but then they go really look into it. Some have gone to see medical professionals and found out there was some things really wrong that they had just lost awareness. They were embarrassed. They were like, oh my gosh, I wish somebody had said something sooner. And so we're not doing people a favor when we ignore it. And we're also putting ourselves in a situation, if other people have brought this to us as a complaint, that we're not addressing it. Again, it's not easy. It's not easy. I always try to say, season your words with kindness. Again, keep people whole and be compassionate. But again, offer solutions, suggestions, some help. There have also been some work environments that I have been in where it's been repeatedly and for years, like there's an improvement and then it goes back to the same old. I've seen evidence of, again, people appearing to have slept and done everything in their clothes, and their clothing reeks of odors. Some of these individuals have not had a homeless situation, but they've had some personal challenges and difficulties. And it is acceptable as a supervisor for you to ask a person to, why don't you go home and refresh and then return? There's nothing wrong with that also. Again, none of these conversations are easy, but as the saying goes, and it's a saying because I know it's not commiserate with the responsibility, but that's why we're paid the big bucks, right? Like that's why supervisors get paid more than the non-supervisors in general, is because we have the responsibility of often having difficult conversations. And like I said, I call these the real difficult conversations because they are so personal. And if handled incorrectly, we may destroy a relationship that we have with someone on our team or a coworker, and there may never be any resolution to that. So it's not to be gossiped about. I have been in places where I know people gave people ugly nicknames. That's not nice, and we should never be a party to that. We say it's joking, but it's hurtful, and it's actually bullying. If we were to talk about what are the legal definitions of bullying, right? So we're not to do that. So as supervisors, and again, if those of you in this HR space, we have to operate and exercise care, compassion, empathy, and professionalism. So have the conversation, but not in a way that, again, brings the person any lower than they already are. So if somebody brings you the complaint, maybe you're not the first person to observe it. You thank them and just tell them you'll deal with it. No further discussions are needed. You don't have to tell them what you'll do, what they said, what you said. Again, we don't gossip, we don't giggle, we don't make fun of it. Thank the person. Of course, we always document, right? You document when this was brought to your attention, and then you document how you dealt with it. If you do have an employee relations department, HR department in your organization, I would also suggest you seek assistance there, because there may be certain terms or terminology that is utilized within the organization and how things have been handled in the past. And you also want to make sure that, past precedents, right? So what did you do, or what did the organization do in times before? There have been cases that I'm aware of that it has been so disruptive that the person has been sent home. These are rare situations, but it does happen. Because again, depending on what it is and how it impacts the work environment, it can be, a bad situation. Now, most of us are in COVID mode still, so very few people in the workplace, if we have returned to work or we're still working remote. But we also, the reason why I bring it up, because this was brought up recently, and again, I'm member of some supervisor groups, and we don't know what people's life situation has gone to from what it was before pre-COVID. And so um, some people may be a little worse off than what they were the last time we saw them. And so, as we are in certain parts of the country resuming our normal activities, or at least returning back to work where we're in group settings and having events with people together, you may see some of that. And if you do, again, as the supervisor, we want you to always handle people with love and care. So that's my HR moment for today. As you can see, it's hard. It's even, sometimes as I think through it, because I think of the heart of the people who have to hear this, but I also have to think of the people who have to work through it, right? And there is no easy answer, but the right way to handle it is to handle it. Ignoring it is not a solution. And it leads to you potentially ignoring other things as well. So again, I just try to be sympathetic and caring. Oh, hey, Lachelle. Lachelle says, this is so true in regards to gossip. Trust is something that we must have to win with our employees. Oh, that is so true. So very true. And if we violate that, I don't know that we'll ever get it back. So thank you for that, Lachelle. Miss you. So hopefully we'll connect it soon. So thanks again, everybody, for watching. If you know someone struggling to deal with this, please feel free to share the video and introduce them to other videos in our body of work. My name is Angela Hooper-Menifield, and again, I am the Chief Equipping Officer of Menifield and Associates, and also founder of the B.E.S.T Supervisor Academy and Symposium. So hope this has been helpful, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Take care. Bye.